Welcome back to the Commanders Declassified podcast. We are back from our brief hiatus, and that's my fault. I was in the Florida Everglades on an airboat riding by alligators and all other kind of stuff out there. It was really cool to see and doing a bunch of other stuff down in Florida. Shout out to the state of Florida. They were good to me. Glad to be back in Virginia. And so training camp's right around the corner. We're going to close out some things relative to last season. This podcast, we're going to talk about the Terry situation because I'm starting to get stressed out, right? And then we're going to talk about where Terry kind of sits in the pantheon of wide receivers. And then we dug in. Our research crack team found some very interesting things about last season that might inform us about this season. So you're going to want to stay tuned, buckle in. Make sure you're subscribed. Tell your friend to tell some friends about our podcast. Help the algorithm, or help us help the algorithm, I should say. But let's kick it off with this. Terry McLaurin had some, I would say, his harshest comments to this point about the team and them not making him feel like he has a home here and that he might not be part of the long-term plans of this organization. Essentially, telling the leadership group within Washington to just say that. Tell him if he's not part of the long-term plans. Eric, I know Terry McLaurin is your favorite player on this Commanders team. How does that make you feel hearing Terry's comments or reading Terry's comments this week?
He's not my favorite player anymore. No, just kidding. I don't know. It's a little alarming, but I still am in the camp that it's posturing and he'll be here when camp starts. I think he does show up. He may not be on the field right away as they work things out. I just have a really hard time believing that something won't get worked out at this point with Terry, but you never know. But I'm still, my alarm level has gone from a 0 to a 1 just because we're getting close to camp, but I still think something gets done and he's on the field week 1 for sure.
Yeah. Mike, where are you at in terms of concern levels?
I guess I'm at a 4, a strong 4. Like E, it was a 0 or 1 or whatever for the first couple of months. But after hearing that press conference yesterday, or impromptu press conference, you see that there are big disconnections between Peters and the Commanders camp and Mclaurin and his camp. And it's something that I've been trying to hint at for the last, since this contract negotiation started publicly or whatever. McLaurin's in a weird spot, man. We know how good he is. The team knows, the organization knows how good he is. But the reality is that he's not elite. He's not Jefferson. He's not Chase. He's not Brown. He's not Lamb. And is that fair to him that he's not producing the way those receivers are producing? Maybe, maybe not. But I just know that there's been this thing with McLaurin his entire career that he's not the prototypical one receiver. But I'm like, if I had the chance to sign him, or if I was Josh Harris or whatever, I might. And this is like backwards compared to what we've been saying about Snyder and whatever. But just knowing what I know, I might have to step in and be like, yeah, we got to get this done. This season is too important to have lingering contract disputes going on or whatever. But we got to take care of this man. And I think what the Commanders might be saying right now is that, dude, you're 31. We can't give you a 3-year contract when you're 31 years. I mean, when you're about to turn 31 years old at the beginning of that contract, we're going to be paying you $33 million a year as a 34-year-old wide receiver. And I think that's where things might be at a disconnect. It probably isn't even solely about the money. It probably is about the years and the long-term future. And that's why McLaurin hinted at that at the press conference yesterday. So I still think things get done, but it definitely isn't as smooth as we all thought it would be, for real.
Yeah, I think you brought up some really good, interesting points. I think there's some aspect for Terry's camp that says pay me for what I've already done, right?
Mhm.
But Adam Peters wasn't here for that. Now he knows
Mhm.
what he did, but Adam Peters is only looking forward. If we're talking about like if Adam Peters had been here for the last 4 years, maybe this deal's a lot easier to get done because Adam Peters is like, dude, I got history with this guy. He's part of the reason why I've been successful. Adam Peters didn't have that history beyond last season, right? Um, it's really bad timing from a fan perspective. We had so much like fan goodwill coming off of last season, and fans really love Terry, right? And to have this kind of draw out, and I know this is going to get resolved. I'm firmly in the camp of this will be resolved before week 100%. But man, we were just celebrating getting to our first conference final in freaking forever, and to have to go through this off season's a little disappointing, though I do understand it. Um, some of the comments that Terry made about the team sending a message that they might not want him, this is where I get concerned because typically an agent's supposed to filter all those things out, right? That's why you have an agent. Agent does the negotiation, the players play, right? They work out. Now, Terry knows, hey, a deal's not done yet, but I hope that Terry's agent is not like taking back comments that the team is making about his age and all that stuff back to Terry because then it becomes personal, right? You don't want these negotiations to become personal, which is why contract negotiations with players without agents always go so poorly, right? Because the team has to be honest with the player rather than being honest with the player's agent, right? And that gets people's feelings in a bind. And I really hope that Terry's agents, and I was just looking up who they were, um, Buddy Baker and Tony Bonagura. Bonagura. I
Whoever
hope
they
those
are.
folks are doing a really good job of filtering out some of the feedback that the team has as to why they're not willing to commit for such a long time. Um, I think the other big thing is they haven't spoken for a month per Terry about the contract situation, right? Um, and it feels to me like the Commanders have said, "This is our line in the sand, Terry. Here's where we're going to be, and we believe in you, we love you, but we're not going past this number." And I wonder how you resolve that from there. Somebody's going to have to blink because Terry clearly, or his people clearly, feel like it's not enough. Now,
Not
as
enough.
deals, it's not enough. As deals continue to get done, that number is going to start to get more and more impacted, right? Because I think we just had the Garrett Wilson deal that was done recently, and Juwan Jennings in San Francisco's looking for a new deal. So it can work for Terry, it can work a lot, really against Terry too, because as those numbers start to come in, they're a little bit less than what some of the premier wide receivers got. Those things can influence what Terry gets too. Bottom line is, I think he gets signed. I hope he does. I just hope he doesn't get signed with resentment on either side because Terry deserves to be a Commander for life. He deserves to have his name in the Ring of Fame or Ring of Honor or whatever it is, and go out happy with our franchise.
So how
I'll
many? How
say
many?
this. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, how many deals with wide receiver? How many deals with players have been done in the last month? Would be my question. Outside of Garrett Wilson, like 2 days ago, really none. Like just July is generally a slow time of year. If things aren't resolved by June, they usually go into the end of July into training camp.
Yep.
So as far as like Terry's comments and how the agents are handling, I think you're at a point now after the Garrett Wilson deal got done. The agents are probably like, hey, let's put Terry out there and let him talk because that's going to get the fans on his side. And I think
Yeah.
it's a calculated move on their part to do that.
Definitely.
And I think age is important too. And for me, I think it's going to be like a 2-year, $75 million deal. I think he's going to be top 4 or 5 highest paid wide receivers in the league. He's going to get 37, 38 million a year for like his 2-year extension. And I got no problem with that. I don't think anything longer. They may stick like a voidable 3rd year on that just to like, make it look good. So it turns into like a 3-year, $120 million deal, but the guaranteed money, it's going to be 74, 75, 76 million. And you can take that to the bank, my friends.
Yeah,
I'm
and
calling it now.
it's funny because you said something that kind of like counters what I was about to say. And the truth might be in the middle, honestly. But I was going to say, I know I just said earlier that if you give him a contract, you'll be paying him $30 million at 34 years old. And I thought about it after I said it, and I might be okay with that for Terry McLaurin. And that's the problem. Like Ali said, we're too personal with it. We know too much. We're way too close to. We're way too in our emotions when it comes to these negotiations. However, that doesn't mean that our emotions are telling us a fib or that we're lying or that we're being deceived by Terry McLaurin. I really feel like him at 34, paying him $34 million isn't the biggest problem in the world. I feel like a 34-year-old Terry McLaurin would still be able to produce what 25, 26-year-old J.M. McDaniel. So if they went with the third year, I would be okay with that, perfectly fine with that. Because how old is Devontae Adams right now? Can't I don't know his age, but he is still producing, and he is 32 years old, and I don't see him dropping off a cliff in the next 2 years. And if I could say that for Adams, somebody that I don't see up close and personal, I could easily say that for Terry McLaurin. He's
Now,
passionate, he cares, he produces. Just pay the man.
The thing about Terry's age 34 season, or that mythical third year deal, is that's going to overlap with that's when it's time to extend Jaden Daniels.
Would
So
that be the first year of that contract?
that would be the end of his fourth year in the league, which would, you get that fifth year option and then the contract extension kicks in, but that cap money I think starts right around that time. So that overlaps. So I'm sure Peters in the front office are already planning for whatever extension, because that man's going to make $300 million or whatever the going rate is for
And that's
quarterback.
the key.
And so it's just about, you got to be ready to clear the books, and you're going to have to make a lot of tough decisions. So do you want to be paying a 34-year-old wide receiver $35 million when you've got to pay your quarterback $60 million, right? He's going to have a monster cap hit. So
maybe
it's a balancing act. I don't blame Terry at all for getting every penny he can. NFL players' careers are short, and you got to get what you can get, and do what's best for you, Terry. But I think it's going to work out with the team. He'll be here for 3 more years, and I'm looking forward to all 3 of them.
And Mike, did you say McDaniels? JD.
He did.
I
He
did
did
say
say Jaden
that. It's probably going to be one more year until I get that Mick out of Jaden's last name.
You need to stop eating Happy Meals. That'll help.
Nah, one of my guys, that's his last name. So, like, it's just,
Yeah. I think so. To finish up on this Terry conversation, you brought up Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams is what, 32, like you said. There's a difference, though, because Devontae Adams is not the player he once was. He's still good. He's not Devontae Adams of before, but also Devontae Adams at his peak was a higher level player than Terry McLaurin has been. So as he's fallen off a little bit, he's still maintaining a really good level. We haven't seen a decline in Terry yet, to be clear. But if we do, it may be a little bit more dramatic, I think, than what Devontae Adams has experienced in his initial decline. You know what I'm saying?
that's fair.
All right. So Mike sent the Commanders Declassified group chat a really wonderful article from ESPN that I read and I wanted to talk through on the podcast. This is like, Mike, do you want to kind of introduce what this is?
Yeah. So ESPN, they've been doing the series probably for the last 3 weeks, I think. Their top 10 in each position. They started off with offensive linemen. I think Tunsil was like number 7 on their list. A couple of days ago, they put out the running backs. Brian Robinson was an honorable mention. 2 days ago, they put out the linebackers list, and believe it or not, Luvu was 4th on the list. Yes, executives. I'm sorry, NFL executives, general managers, head coaches. They think Luvu is the 4th best linebacker in the NFL. They said And of course, they did quarterbacks too. Jay and Daniels came in at fifth. Y'all might have heard about that. But I sent it to the group because of Terry McLaurin's press conference yesterday. And I just feel like it was a very unfortunate time for him because they listed the top 10 receivers. And Ellie, you can take it from here on who's on that list.
Yeah. And Louisville was top 10 off the ball linebackers too.
Yeah, off ball linebackers. I should have said that. My bad, y'all. Off ball.
All right. So this
Not
list
that.
has gone crazy, but it had some interesting things on here with your top 10 wide receivers in the NFL. Eric and I were kind of debating this as we were prepping for this podcast, but Jamar Chase is number one and Justin Jefferson is number two. I would definitively switch those. Justin Jefferson to me is 1A in this NFL, and it ain't close to me.
Oh my goodness. That's what I was debating.
Yeah, see, I would say I would probably put Jefferson up there too, but I think it's a lot closer than what you think it is because I think Chase is a monster. And I'm not angry at Jamar Chase being number one. I wouldn't put him there, but I'm not angry at it at all.
I
think
can't
it's very
believe
close
that's
between
the
those
debate
two.
y'all were having.
It's one of the debates we were having.
They're that close. You could put either one that one or two.
That was my point.
It really
Jefferson
wouldn't matter.
Yeah, Chase has the benefit of playing with a top-notch receiver on the other side and an elite quarterback pretty much his whole career. So, he's got advantages over Jefferson that Jefferson's had good quarterback play. He hasn't had elite quarterback play. And he's never really had like a superstar on the other side, although he does have TJ Hawkinson who can who's one of the best tight ends in the league, but it's not the same as having another wide receiver on the other side of the ball.
So I don't want to get stuck on this topic, but real quick, I knew that when people talked about Chase that they would say that he has Barrow. So I wanted to see, I think he's played 7 games without Barrow in his career. So I tried to, extrapolate that data and extend it or, predicting what happened in a 17-game season based on those game averages. And even without Barrow, he probably would still be a 1,000-yard receiver. And it wasn't like he had good quarterbacks when he didn't have Barrow. I think Jake Browning was one of the quarterbacks and somebody else was the other quarterback in those 7 games. But he still produced. And I'm just saying, if you swap those receivers, I don't think the drop-off in production in Minnesota and Cincinnati I don't think it'll be noticeable. They'll probably put up the same identical numbers that they're putting up right now, which is the best of the best.
I think Jefferson's way better. That's just me.
Way better is crazy.
I didn't know that Chase was actually younger than Jefferson, though. I felt like Chase has been around longer.
Jefferson, I think, was 2019. Chase was 21, I think. So they were close. They were teammates at LSU.
Year.
2020.
Jefferson, it was 20. No, you're right, actually. Jefferson was 2020, and Jefferson was 19, Chase was 2020.
Yeah, I thought Jefferson was the same year Terry came out.
No, timeout. I was wrong. Jefferson was 2020. Chase was still at LSU in 2020, and he sat out that year because of COVID, and he didn't get drafted until 21. So, yeah. Sorry about that.
Number 3 on this list is where this list starts to fall apart for me. They have Tyreek Hill as number 3. Get him all the way out of the top 10. Maybe 2 years ago, but right now, he's a 31-year-old speed-based receiver, a very entertaining guy. Get him out this top 10. No way at number 3.
It's the first player on every single list that they've made that I was like, okay, yeah, that's way too high. And I understand that speed kills, but damn, no, not at 31, not with his production. Maybe if he was on a better team, a better situation, I would feel better, but no, not in Miami, not right now. I'm not taking him over Lamb.
Feels like a lifetime achievement award.
Yep, exactly. Very well said. So Mike Spillett at number 4 is CeeDee Lamb. Notice him at number 4 because at number 5, AJ Brown. And I told y'all CeeDee was better than AJ Brown. I told y'all, right?
Well, your source is a list that just put Tyreek Hill at number 3. I'm gonna point that out. Yeah. So maybe this isn't the best place.
Just like Chase and Jefferson, I'm not going to cry over Lamb over Brown because
Yeah.
I just feel like they're two different wide receivers. Personally speaking, give me the more imposing receiver that you can't, scheme out of a game. Like you put two players on Brown, he still might cook you. If I put two on Lamb, it might be a tough day for him. It might be an easy day for the rest of the receivers on the Cowboys, but Lamb is going to have a tougher day with two on
Give me both of those guys over Tyreek Hill at this point, though.
him.
Yep.
Facts.
Number 6, I disagree with this one too. I love this dude. He's from my hometown, Detroit Lions. I'm not my hometown, famous hometown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he's not the number 6 receiver in the NFL to me right now. He's got to come down that list.
He's a better player than he is receiver.
There you go.
Deebo Samuel type of player. He's a weapon.
I wanted to say that, but yeah. Exactly.
This is weird because this number 7 is a projection to me. Malik Neighbors at number 7 is a projection. He will, yes, very much so. He will get there. I don't think he's there right now based off his rookie season. I'm gonna put it to you like,
I don't know, bro.
Yeah, I don't think it's a projection. I think he's that good.
no,
Malik Neighbors is good.
He was kind of cooking, bro. Especially, listen, I know our secondary wasn't the best secondary, but still, as a rookie, he was doing stuff to that secondary that Mike Evans was doing. He was doing stuff to that secondary that AJ Brown was doing. So I'm like, look, and it was the second game of the season, and he was like giving it to us. So
but it was Benjamin St. Juice, bro. Come on, like I get it.
But I'm saying like it happened.
109 catches, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns with Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito.
That's what I was about to say. Look at this quarterback.
See, and now you're making my point for me. Who had a better season, Terry McLaurin or Malik Neighbors last year?
I don't know.
Yeah, but my point is like Terry McLaurin had a great season last year. Malik Neighbors actually put up better numbers overall other than touchdowns.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Malik Neighbors was playing with basically the quarterback play that Terry McLaurin's had for his first 6 years in the league, or 5 years in the league, or whatever. That's the level of talent he was playing with a quarterback. Malik Neighbors
somebody got to give me Terry's stats. What was Terry's stats last year?
He had 1,096 yards and 13 touchdowns on like 80-ish catches.
Twice as many touchdowns. He had nearly the same yards on like 70 less targets.
And Jaden Daniels as his quarterback.
But and they were playing for something. And they spread the ball around the Cliffs offense. Malik Neighbors got every target in that offense. That man had 170 targets.
I refuse to continue contributing to this conversation.
Malik Neighbors belongs on this list. I'm completely fine with it.
I already then kind of trashed McLaurin earlier. I'm not going to keep doing it.
McLaurin is better than Malik Neighbors.
I'm not even saying McLaurin's not better than Malik Neighbors, but to think Malik doesn't belong on this list is nonsense.
He belongs on the list, but if you haven't read Terry's name yet, he doesn't belong on the list yet. That's what I'm saying. Then we go to number 8, and this is where this whole thing just started. Man, I'm done with this list at this point. They got Nico Collins at number 8 on this list, and not a mention of our boy Terry yet. They had let's see, he's 26 years old. I don't know what he did in Houston. He was a beast. I know what he did, but I'm saying I don't have his stats in front of me. But come on.
There are guys that I would put on this list ahead of him, but I like Nico Collins.
He has been injured the last 2 seasons, I think.
It's another reason he probably should be lower. But there are other guys I'd put on this list before him. Let's put it that way. But I like him. He's good.
This is another one we were talking about, Mike, when you joined. Mike Evans. I don't know, man.
Based on the 2 games that I've seen him play versus the Commanders last year, I might put him back in the top 5. Like that man is a beast, and
but don't give him the lifetime achievement award.
No, I don't think it's a lifetime achievement award. Mike Evans can still take over a game.
He just cooked us in his last game that he played. He cooked Washington.
I think that 9 on the list is a perfect spot for Mike Evans at this point in his career. I think it's right where he belongs. He is still a top 10 receiver in this league. Not quite what he once was, but still a monster. Another guy whose play has not fallen off. He's a really good player.
If I said to you, hey, we got one season to win it, I'm gonna give you Mike Evans or I'm giving you Terry. Who you taking?
I'm taking Terry because he's my favorite player. So that's not even a fair question. But I mean, in a
Like I
vacuum,
said, not
it's close now.
participate
Because
in
again,
it.
Mike Evans at this point, like prime Mike Evans, like at his peak, I would take over Terry.
But that's
But even
lifetime
right now,
achievement, bro. We're not doing that. This list is based on
like
last
right
season.
now, I mean,
Yeah.
again, Terry, I think Terry belongs on this list way higher than some of these guys on
Let's
here.
go. That's all I ask. Number 10 is Garrett Wilson. A lot of talent. Come on, bro. Not above Terry right now. Not above Terry. I'm not doing it.
I would put Terry around that 6 or 7 spot.
That's it.
I'd make you can make a case for him. You know, you could argue some of those other guys.
Apparently, the last 2 spots were tied with the first 2 honorable mentions on ESPN list. So I guess technically, based on NFL executives, he's tied for 8th.
So they just
in the league.
Not mad at that. I would put Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, he's gonna be a Terry for the first part of his career. He's just not gonna get the credit for how good he is because of where he's at and the team that he's on. But I think I would put Puka Nacua on this list. I think ahead of, even though he's had some injury issues too, but I would put him certainly above. Certainly in the back half of the top 10s. Put it that way. I don't want to disrespect any of these guys, but I think I would put Puka and Brian Thomas Jr. and Terry McLaurin, and I would probably swap out, pick 3 guys at the bottom, on the back half of the top 10, and I would swap those guys out with those 3.
Who had a better season, a better rookie season, Brian Thomas Jr. or Malik Neighbors?
Oh, Malik Neighbors.
I think Brian Thomas Jr. actually did probably slightly better quarterback play, although Trevor Lawrence wasn't great last year.
Come on.
Yeah, I like Thomas. Like I stole him from pretty much every dynasty league that I'm in the 2nd or 3rd round last year. I don't know. Listen, if you see a beast LSU wide receiver coming out in the NFL and they were 1 or 2 on the depth chart, they're going to most likely be good. I don't know what happened last year with rest of soul, Karen Lacey, and the other LSU wide receivers, but I knew Brian Thomas would be good. I knew Malik Neighbors would be good. I was not shocked by their performances at all last year. And I expect both of them to be top 10 receivers throughout the first half of their career.
Brian Thomas Jr. was better than Malik Neighbors last year, statistically speaking. And I think like that's why I'm tripping on Malik Neighbors being where he is. He's just as good. Anyway, let me give you, because we got to move on, but the honorable mentions were Terry McLaurin, Puka Nacua, which, come on, man, he's up there. Brian Thomas Jr. and DK Metcalf, T. Higgins, and Devontae Adams. So Lad McConkey, too, was out there as well. But Terry got to be on that top 10 somewhere, along with Brian Thomas Jr. All right. So last year was one of those rare seasons, and we hope it becomes increasingly less rare, or I should say decreasingly rare, for the Commanders when a lot of things went right and a lot of things happened in that season that really hadn't happened for many a season prior to. I want to spend some time going through those things to talk about how that might influence this upcoming season if those same things don't happen, or if certain things do happen, how it might impact where we finish the season. So I got a couple things here, and I want to get what your guys' perspective on these are, and then anything you guys have to offer or add to this too. First of all, we went 12-5, right? And the last time that we won 12 games was, everybody knows,
1991.
1991, right? And in order to win those 12 games, we had our 4th down percentage. It was something like 80-something plus percent success rate on 4th down.
87, 20 for 23.
Thank you. Is that repeatable, Eric? And if it's not repeatable, is that a death knell in our hopes for this upcoming season?
It's going to be hard to repeat. But, you know, it was also hard winning 12 games. So I'm not saying it's not repeatable, but it's going to be a challenge to be that good again. That seems like it was a little bit of an aberration. But, you know, these weren't 4th and 1 tush push plays that they were converting. They were converting 4th and 6, 4th and 7, 4th and 4. They were making stuff happen, and they've improved the talent on offense. So, your fourth down percentage could go down, and you could still be okay because you aren't having to go for it for as many fourth downs because you're converting earlier in your drives. So, I don't think it's a dependency that it has to be that good to be good again next year. A lot of things are going to be different. It's going to be a different season. I don't think we're going to see an 87% conversion rate again, but we may not have to.
I like that. And anytime you have a mobile quarterback or a hyper mobile quarterback, you're going to have a high conversion rate on fourth down because you have so many options at the line of scrimmage. But 87% was historic. We had one loss during the regular season that was more than a one score game at the end of the game. And that was our week one loss by 17 points to the Buccaneers. Mike, what does playing all those games where we were competitive in every single game mean for this upcoming season? Anything to you?
I guess it means a little bit because things do change from season to season. Like whatever happened last year, I mean, some of the stuff may carry over the next year, but I don't know if you can really rely on battle experience from the previous year to impact what's going to happen next year. Now, maybe for the younger players, like the rookies or whatever, it might impact them. But for older players like Wagner and Mclaurin and some of the older vets, like they've been played in close games pretty much their entire careers in the NFL. So I think to officially answer your question, for the younger players, possibly. For the older players, not really.
Yeah, and I think there's a certain level of pride in the fact that you didn't get blown out, right? Really, at all last season. Um, Playoffs aside, that Eagles game was a disaster due to turnovers and other things, but
Yeah.
you were in everything was a fight to the end, right? Last season, I think you do take some pride and confidence from that. Eric, we had 7 regular season games that were over 30 points. If you remember that Scott Turner era, our average was 19 points
You
Mm,
might have had
game.
7 games that totaled 30 points
mm.
under Scott Turner.
Exactly. How relieving was that seeing the offense put up numbers like that?
It was such a good feeling. Like at one point, I think it was the Cardinals game where like we got into like the late third quarter and I was like, man, this is boring. And then I was like, wait, I'm bored during a blowout win. Like when's the last time this happened? This is actually kind of amazing. So I
Right.
learned to appreciate it very quickly because for a second there, I was like, man, I almost like turned it off because it's like, this is like not even watchable. But then I realized like, this is my team that's actually blowing somebody out. So this is a nice feeling. And that I do think is repeatable. I think the offensive firepower with another year in the offense for Jaden Daniels. I know there's the whole thing about other teams adjusting, but from what they're saying, there's a lot more left in that playbook that they didn't get to run last year because Jaden just wasn't comfortable with it. So looking forward to seeing that this season. More the offense open up even more, especially with Jaden, and there was just more talent across the board. It's going to be fun.
Should be a blast. And to add to that, we had 3 regular season games over 40 points too. So we just kept scoring. So we got a high-powered offense that teams on tape are going to have to respect when we show up this year. Now, on the flip side of that, our defense gave up 30 points or more than 30 points in 5 games last season. How much of an indictment, Mike, is that on where we're going to be this season and some things that we need to correct to prevent that from happening?
You better believe that this defense will be so much improved compared to last year. And honestly, like I said on a couple of episodes ago, I really think the secondary was that horrendous. Just absolutely cheeks. 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 All of it. The safety play, the cornerback play was definitely cheeks. Probably worse than cheeks, honestly. It's a word I want to say, but it's a family show. And I think that alone is going to make this entire defense better. We couldn't cover. In 2024 NFL, you couldn't cover. That is a recipe for absolute disaster. But I feel optimistic, not only because they have better talent, not only because the players on the team are used to the scheme. That particular scheme is being ran by Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. And As long as those two are on the team, I'll never be concerned with the defense. Even last year, for as trash as they were, at times you've seen glimpses of consistency and maybe even dominance at some points of the season. So I'm not overly concerned with the defense from last year carrying over to this year because we have better players and we have Witt and we have Quinn, and I'm cool with all of that.
Totally agree. And one of the things that we've been asking for, you can go back on this show. I think this is our at least fourth year of doing this show since we started, right? Maybe fifth year. We've been asking for more explosiveness in the running game, and we got it last year between Eckler, between Daniels, some runs by Brian Robinson Jr. We had three running backs, I just named them, who had at least one carry that was 40 yards or better, right? How much does that explosiveness in the run game help us, Eric? And do you think the new additions that we added this offseason will get us even more runs over 40 yards?
Yeah, and I think it's a huge help, and I think with the addition of maybe Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt at times, and I don't know how much playing time he's going to see this year unless he's just lights out from day one, but I think he's gonna give you that extra burst that may have been missing. You know, Rodriguez was very effective in the running game. McNichols was very effective at times in the running game. I know it wasn't 40 yards because he got to the end zone, but he had a really nice run. Can't remember the game. He broke off a nice run down the sidelines. It was about close to a 30-yard touchdown, and nobody was close to him. So it would have been another one of those long ones, but I would definitely count that as an explosive run. But yeah, if you can have those home run hitter type plays in the run game, it just opens things up that much more and gives, a defense that much more to worry about. Which, with a quarterback like Jaden Daniels and the weapons that they've added, that's a big deal. You want to give defenses as much to think about as possible, and the explosive runs certainly help with that.
Yep. And we had six rushers with a run or a carry over 25 yards. So everybody was getting in the mix. Now, there was a cap on that because we didn't have a single runner with a rush over 50 yards, which I think is how we take our run game to the next level this year. And maybe Bill Krosky Merritt is one of those guys that can help us do that. Um, Spreading the ball around is something I think that Cliff is pretty big on. We talked about Terry not being in camp yet, but we know other guys are going to get work. Mike, we had 9 guys with a catch of over 20 yards. Is that a credit to Jaden Daniels, or is that a credit to Cliff or the receivers that were in the room last season?
I'm gonna say a combination of all three of those things, plus the fourth thing being the defenses that we faced last year. Teams like the Titans, Cardinals, teams that don't have the best pass defenses. Some you could argue were worse than Washington last year. And I feel like Washington took advantage of that. But as you can see, even in games versus Philly and the Steelers, and I think even versus Baltimore, they had deep plays on those games. So, like I said, I think it's a combination of everything. When you have let's be generous and say Daniels is a top 10 quarterback. Let's not say top 5. Let's say top 10. Let's say you have a top 10 quarterback with the let's say top 5 play caller and some speedy receivers. You're bound to break out for a 20-yard game. A 20-yard play in 2024 isn't what it used to be back in the day. So yeah, I feel like with all of that going on, it's a recipe for success in today's game. And I think next year you can see the same, maybe even more when you add in Bama's like Debo and Jalen Lane to the receiver core. And even Michael Gallup, if he could stay healthy, he might still got some speed to him. I expect those 20s to keep rolling.
Mike, I'm going to stay with you real quick. So we had 3 players with a catch of 50 yards or more. Diami's gone. Oz is gone. Who's going to be the receiver that is going to create those long touchdowns or long receptions this year?
Well, I named them already, so I'll say it again. But I think the 3 players that you want to focus on for 50-yard games are Debo, Lane, and Gallup. Like I feel like all 3, based on what we have seen from them in the past, whether it be Gallup on the Cowboys, Debo with San Fran, or Lane and Virginia Tech, you know that they are capable of doing it because we've seen them do it. And I just feel like when you add a Kingsbury offense with a quarterback like Daniels, it can potentially produce those big bomb plays. And the key to this too is having Mclaurin on the field with you, as he dictates coverage, is going to leave you in more one-on-one situations to break away. So I see it as a win-win-win-win-win-win-win for the Washington offense.
Speaking of Mclaurin, Eric, 13 touchdowns last year, which is obviously a franchise record for a receiver. We haven't had a wide receiver, emphasis on wide receiver, with double-digit touchdowns since, Eric, you're a historian on the show.
Ricky Sanders in 91 is going to be my guess. 12 or 89, one of those years.
88.
Moss?
Oh, was it 88?
88, yeah.
Hey, Moss didn't even have 10 and 05. That's crazy.
He had 9 that year, I believe. Yeah, so 88. 1988, fellas. Think about how long ago that was. Now, Jordan Reed in 2015 had 11, but he was
kind of crazy because that 88 team was pretty lousy.
Yeah.
They were 7-9, and Doug Williams was on his last legs, and Mark Rippon was on his first. So, yeah, it wasn't a great season, but it's pretty crazy. I thought it was like 89 because I know 89, I believe, was the year all three of the posse went over 1,000 yards, which is crazy for that year. You don't even see that today with 3,000-yard receivers. But anyway, I digress.
I'm gonna double check my stats, but the question coming off of that is that 13 touchdown season for Mclaurin repeatable?
I mean, not if he doesn't.
And does he need to do it actually this season to be successful?
No, he doesn't need to. I mean, if you can get production elsewhere, there's no reason. I mean, 13 touchdowns is a great season. Not saying it's not, again, one of those things that, like, yeah, sure, he can do it again, but you know, that's a career year, and you don't have career years every year. Otherwise, you know, you'd have a great career, I guess. So, you know, I'm not banking on 13 touchdowns again from a wide receiver, but I wouldn't be mad if he did it.
By the way, it was 88. I just checked. Ricky Sanders, 88. Hey, do you guys know who had the most targets amongst wide receivers in Redskins Commanders history in a single season?
The most targets.
Could have been Garcon when Kirk was here.
No, because Deshaun was here then too. He would have taken them away. Targets has only been a stat for like 15 years, right? So it has to be somebody. I'll go with that's actually a tough one. Santana Moss. That's the only one I can think of.
I'm gonna give you like the top 5 to 7 or whatever. It's actually Pierre Garcon, 2013. He had 181 targets that year, 2013.
Oh yeah, that was before Garcon got here. Yeah,
or before Deshaun, you mean? Yeah,
or Deshaun. Sorry.
Yeah. He that was the year RG3 came off that injury, right? And all in for week 1, right? But Garcon had 181 targets that year. Number 2 and number 3 are both Lavernius Coles in 2004 and 2003. Henry Ellard in 94 and Santana Moss in 2010.
Was targets a stat back then, or they just like retroactively do that?
They might be retroactive. Now,
Henry Ellard, gosh, that's bringing it back.
Going back 94, right?
Yeah.
Receptions in our for our franchise in a single season, Garcon's obviously number 1.
Oh no, yeah. Yeah, Garcon broke Monk. Yeah, it was Monk for a long time, but yeah, Garcon broke that.
Monk is number 2 with 106.
In 1984, by the way. So like today,
our Monk 84. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's translates in today's game to roughly infinity.
500, right?
Yeah, for sure. Santana with 93. Art Monk again in 85 with 91. Lavernius Coles with 90. Mclaurin is number 6 with 87. So, yeah, man, that's our rich wide receiver history. All right. Any other weird stats from last year you guys want to throw out there, or final thoughts? Eric, I'll go to you.
Yeah, I got one. It's a little bit of a weird stat, but last year was 91 is obviously the gold standard among fans, especially like in this day and age when not many of us remember 91, but last year was the first year since 1991 that Washington had all pro players on offense, defense, and special teams.
Wow.
with Eckler as a kick returner, Mclaurin on offense, and then Wagner and Luvu on defense. In 91, I believe there were like 7 or 8 players all pro on that on that 91 Redskins team. That was insane.
Yeah.
Going down to like Brian Mitchell, the kick return, Chip Lohmiller, Jim Lachey, Mark Rippon, Gary Clark, Darrell Green, everybody. There's got Wilbur Marshall, Charles Mann, just all pros everywhere. But yeah, this year was the 2024 was the first year since then they had all pro players across all three units.
I feel like Bobby Wagner's season last season is really underappreciated. Maybe even by me to some degree, because holy crap, he was good. But that's a great pull right there, Eric, on that one. Mike, any final thoughts, random stats from last season you can think
of? I think one of my favorite, because I was researching too, but one of my favorite stats from last year is another 4th down stat. But this stat is kind of interesting, and it might carry into next year. First team ever to convert 10 4th downs in the postseason. And it wasn't like they were having bad times on offense or like dramatic, like they weren't desperate when they were going for these 4th downs and converting them. It was just part of their thing. And we're talking against 2 teams that they played previously in the season, the Buccaneers and Philly, and the offense was still moving. And I just feel like those anomalies that we saw in 2024 from the offense, it's a strong chance that they'll become the norm. And as far as Mclaurin, man, I'm gonna just tell y'all this, and I'm gonna reference the 1991 season. I was only 2 when the season happened, but I know one thing I know about the season is that Mark Rippon was having a contract dispute entering the season, and I was just like, well, now maybe we just need some controversy to go along with a Super Bowl season like in the previous year. And I think something similar happened in '87 with it was the NFL strike in '87. And I think when they won the first Super Bowl, it was something going on with John Riggins. So maybe it's a good thing. And a strike. So maybe it's a good thing that we got a little controversy going on this summer. Maybe it's an omen that good times are coming. Who knows? But either way, just chill out. It'll get done, even if it goes into the training camp. It'll get done before week 1. I'm sure.
I agree. I just want Terry not to get hurt when he shows up to camp, because you know how those holdout situations go. That being said, it's a different day and age. Players are staying more active when they're away from the football team, and so hopefully those injuries don't creep up on Terry. We all love Terry. He's a great receiver. We want him back in camp. We're looking forward to 2025. It's going to be a great campaign, folks. Make sure you are locked in, subscribed, put your notifications on, whatever you got to do to stay in tune with what we got going on over here. Trust me, you want to be locked in. Make it happen, folks. We appreciate you. Commanders Declassified. We are out of here. Peace.